Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Local Soccer Show. This show is brought to you by Evangelista Sports, our partner in this adventure where we like to share and meet up with people who have great knowledge of amateur soccer in our city, province, and country. There's a lot of passion for the sport, and we believe the best way to learn best practices is from people who have much more experience than I do. I'm just a simple soccer dad that loves the sport, but we like to have other guests, which I'll introduce shortly, who will give some great ideas and insights. And our goal really is to share our passion, to get new ideas. And if there's anything we can learn from these guests and even implement one little idea to make things better for the kids, for the coaches, for the administrators of the clubs, then we feel our mission has been accomplished. So thank you again to Evangelista Sports. Winter soccer is around the corner. Go get your gear at their store in Little Italy or online. And one last shout out to Evangelista Sports. Great initiative last week. I got to meet Mombito and Cornelius at their store. They had a nice meet and greet. Fantastic players, fantastic people to talk to. We're so proud of them being from our province. I spoke to them like we were friends for many years. And if this is the future of Canada soccer with players like this that are coming up the ranks, we are definitely going to be in great hands. So, without further ado, we'll do a little intro video and then I'll introduce our special guest. It's a privilege and an honor for me to welcome from Canada Soccer the manager of Grassroots Programming, master coach developer, and the futsal assistant coach, Wayne Cleverly. Wayne, welcome to the Local Soccer Show. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So, Wayne, what I usually do with our guests before we get into the topics is make them do a trip down memory lane and talk about how they fell in love with the beautiful game and share when you started playing. So, if you can go back and just let the audience know what you recall when you started playing, and then share your pathway of how you got to where you are today.
Okay, I'll try and go in the archives and remember back. So originally from the southwest of the UK, a small place called Swindon. The
Mhm.
town hosted a professional team there, which I'll touch on in a minute. Played soccer from a very young age. My parents were in love with the sport. My granddad, so didn't really have a choice. I was always in the back garden playing soccer with my dad. Got involved in playing grassroots just for a local community team when I was around 6 years old, 7 years old. Uh, Played in school, which was key, and I know we'll get onto that shortly. But that really gave me a little bit of my passion growing up, playing with school friends at school, uh, and then just local club. When I was around 10 years old, I got scouted by the local professional team, which was called Swindon Town. Stayed in the academy system all the way through till I was 18 years old. So I guess sort of missed that grassroots element of development, and was in that sort of professional academy system. And then stayed many years in that, learned a lot of things, and obviously had the privilege of working with top coaches, and always observed what they were doing, what they were teaching. And I guess back then, which was early 90s, the methods of coaching was a little bit different than what it is now. But great memories, fun times, and learned a lot about myself as a person and as a player. And played semi-professional for a bit in the UK, which was then your sort of late teens, and you're playing men's football, which was tough. and you had to survive, I guess, at times, but thoroughly enjoyed it and got a taste for coaching. Did just worked at a local club, started on my coaching badges. And then when I was 26, got offered the opportunity to come to Canada. I started off just doing camps, just local camps in Calgary, where I originally started. Came over in the summer, did fun camps. Loved the country, loved the people. Had such a wonderful time and learned many things about the game and children during those early years of coaching. And then got offered the chance to move here, so I took a risk, I took a chance, and moved to Canada. The best decision I ever made. And then coaching really took off for me. I loved it. I wasn't sure where the soccer playing journey was going to go anymore, and I just had the appetite and the bug for coaching and the challenge that it brought to me, and stayed with that. And Jim Lachlan, a colleague of mine, asked me if I would get involved in delivering some coaching courses when I was in Alberta, the grassroots workshops as they are now. And again, lit my fire for coach education and supporting coaches, and had a great mentor in Jim and some of the other staff at Canada Soccer, Jason DeVos, Mike Wyatt, people like that, and just continue to learn and observe what people were doing, how they presented things, the knowledge that they had, the learning environment they created, and managed to just to listen and work with coaches from all over the country. And then got involved with Canada Soccer when the children's diploma first came out in 2018. So helped develop that course, and then worked alongside colleagues on the B license, the children's license, some of the A license that we have now. And just trying to change how education looks, how it feels. The game doesn't change, but just trying to make a difference within the grassroots space in this country. I love grassroots football. I love the challenge that it brings. I love the purity of it. Young kids who are new to sport, new to soccer, trying to develop and help them grow their love for it and their physical literacy skills and technical development. And I just love working with young kids, the excitement that it brings. And now, obviously, some big projects that we're working on, the schools program, for one, the Canada Soccer Skill Centres, and continually work with CONCACAF now and FIFA in enhancing coach education in this country. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of my background and where I'm at now.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And how was the transition for you coming from Europe to Canada? We're known as a hockey country first and foremost. So, however, we are growing in the right direction when it comes to the soccer culture. But how did you find it at the beginning? Did you find like, oh my God, it's so much different than back home, or we're on the right track? Or is the gap significant? What were your initial impressions? Obviously, at the grassroots level, I'm talking about, not like national.
Potential, to be honest. You
Mm-hmm.
look at the number of children playing in this country, the resources, facilities, the size of clubs. Just huge potential. Kids obviously loved the game because of the mass that we're playing. The culture, I mean, the sort of the propaganda that you get in the UK on TV, like soccer's on TV all the time. Everyone would go, out on a Sunday and watch the game. So there was a little bit of that back then when I first came in 2007. Obviously, that's changed a little bit now. But in terms of the game, the children, and what was around grassroots, not too dissimilar, to be honest, but huge potential in this country. And I think with the World Cup coming, the success of the national teams, coach education, some of the big projects that we're building towards now, and some of the great things that clubs are doing in this country. It's a really exciting time, and I think a lot of that potential now is coming out, and the fruits of people's labor can be seen. But yeah, just a great country, and certainly I think many nations, the world now, obviously being on the world stage, are looking at Canada and what we're doing. The second largest country in the world, many challenges with weather, the climate, etc., travel distances. So some barriers, and the way that we're changing things and trying to evolve is inspiring. It really, really is.
So, when we're talking about the gap between Canada and other countries, we've seen at the senior men's level, the performance of the team has been, especially looking at Copa America and the fact we reached the World Cup after first time since 1986. We see that some of our best players were playing in Europe and they were exposed to high level of competition, which I believe is what helped Canada do well. When we see the gap at the younger ages where we don't do as well in certain world championships at younger ages, is it simply because at that age we don't have players compared to other countries that are exposed to higher levels of competition? You think that's one of the drawbacks for our younger age teams?
Not really.
No.
The players that Canada have are very, very good. Like most things, it comes down to resources and opportunity. The number, if we're talking in the space of national teams, the number of camps that you can have, how many touch points with players, top level games that the players can play in and be exposed, because we're in a unique pool here, CONCACAF, and the places that players go and play, and the diversity of it is so unique. Traveling down to Costa Rica or Panama or Mexico is a challenge, from an environment standpoint, and being exposed to that frequently and often is a challenge, and being able to play in those climates, altitude, time zones, etc., is something that obviously European-based players, don't really have. But yeah, I think again, opportunity and resources play a big part in it, and it does help development. But again, in terms of the ability of players, we have some top young players here. I've been fortunate enough to see players in South America and Europe at some of the top academies in the world, and the players in Canada are up there. They really are. Again, it's just that opportunity, exposure, and possible resources that can enhance their development moving forwards.
Yeah, makes sense. So I just want to move on to futsal
Yeah.
because winter's around the corner, and obviously playing outdoors is not an option for us in Canada during the winter months. And I don't know how it is in BC, but I know, for example, in Ontario and Quebec, the amount of fields available with indoor turf is very limited. It's also very costly. So one of the options, which is logical, is playing in schools. And there are most of the clubs that offer some kind of training for their members to do some futsal during the winter. So I wanted to know, since you're such a high level playing at futsal, being the coach, what advice would you give to the local amateur clubs of what they can do during the winter to help develop the skills of the kids and also to help them get ready, so when it's spring and we can go back outdoors, we use some of that time in the winter to progress in their development?
I'm a big believer in experiences and environments for young children, giving them the opportunity. Many players are fortunate to train on turf, and that includes obviously indoor and outdoor. However, some exposure to a futsal court, to maybe playing on grass, playing on concrete, playing at the beach, having just various environments, different demands placed on you technically because of the surface, the environment that brings, obviously helps. Futsal's a wonderful game, exciting game, a fast game, and it's a game. It's a game where at the younger ages you need real patience as a coach because of those technical demands that it places, the rules. However, kids getting the opportunities to play in school gyms is a wonderful tool, is a great tool for them. It's a different game and it provides different challenges: speed of play, decision making, skill development, technical execution, etc., etc. And with the climate and the environment, and many are challenged with that, using those school gyms and playing small-sided futsal games can really be a driver for development. And something that I've certainly seen is that the kids love it, the players love it. I think sometimes the mindset of parents in a pay-to-play model, that if going in a school gym maybe is not appealing as a nice, turf field that they could potentially play on. However, when we look through the lens of technical development and what the game brings and the tools that it can provide players, it's certainly worth clubs building it and implementing it into their program. There's many transferable skills from futsal to 11v11. Obviously, our national team, many players play 11v11 soccer. So the crossover, certainly the 1v1 skills and the speed of play and decision making are two of the big ones, obviously, that can really influence players' development.
So if I understood you correctly, you would encourage the kids to play matches of futsal during the winter and also do some form of individual training slash development.
The development individually obviously should be done in sessions. However,
Mm-hmm.
the more games our children can play, the more small-sided games our young grassroots players can play, outdoor and obviously indoor and futsal, it's going to help a lot. Kids love to play soccer, so let's make sure that we guarantee them a game of soccer when they come to play sessions. The game will put you in a lot of 1v1 situations anyway,
Yeah.
and the key for the coach is, again, just to observe that, to be patient with it, and set up those games and ideas where kids are continuously put in those situations that they can obviously have the repetition, the realisms there of the real game, that they can obviously then, as it goes through the different seasons, they can transfer those skills across. So yeah, futsal's a great game in terms of the space. Doesn't need to be big. The ball's always in play because of obviously the school gym walls, so the contact ball rolling time is very, very high for the children, which is great. And as I said, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's very transitional, very technical. It's difficult to coach. However, that's not always a bad thing because it allows the coach just to observe and really look at some of the technical actions that the players are doing.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that part about the difficulty because you're right. When it comes to tight spaces and depending on how many children are registered to participate, sometimes you're right. You're gonna have to try to teach them a little something, but not have the big open field that you would outside. So yeah, definitely a challenge. But I do agree with you. It is something that can help the children develop some of their skills during the winter months. So now let's move on to the initiative of the Canada Soccer Schools. Just gonna put the slide on screen. So if you can share with our viewers how this initiative came about and what's the objective.
So originally it started just as we were having a discussion of staff, Sarah McConaughey, who works at Canada Soccer, Jason DeVos, myself, and some of the staff were discussing this idea around how do we provide opportunity for children in schools to have access to soccer, to give teachers access to resources, regardless of the environment? How can we provide them with equipment and resources just to support this? So we had a discussion, a few of them, about how we would do this, and then through Sarah's expertise managed to gain some funding from the government. And then we just set out a bit of a strategic plan with how this would look. How do we get it to just over 3 million kids by 2026? How do we ensure teachers have resources that are simple, quick to understand, and ultimately that they can run fun soccer games with children, regardless of disabilities, regardless of experience, regardless of interest, that the games can still provide fun in their physical education time at school. Provide some playbooks that obviously are Canada Soccer branded, just to give them some ideas around players. There's fun little activities in there, and just try and just flood their eyes with soccer as much as we can around this initiative with Canada Soccer, with our national teams, and just start to really foster a love with them about the game and how fun it can be, how easy and accessible it can be to play, and hopefully light the fire where they start, they continue, and then obviously they play for life.
So, one question that comes to mind is something I had read. This initiative is going to work with the local soccer club, who will then, I assume, go in the schools to help put in place the program. And now, is it the local soccer club that will be there to run the program in the schools, or the local soccer club will teach the teachers in the school to run the program? How does that part work?
So how it works is we work with school boards
Okay.
within certain provinces to start, just to launch this as a pilot and gain some feedback from the schools and the teachers. The schools work with some of the local clubs who will go in, who will support with equipment. In terms of the resources that teachers will get, we have an online app that they can download to their Android phone, and obviously a website. The app has certain sessions and games for certain age groups, so it's broken down into K-2, 3-6, and grades 7-9. The videos are 2 minutes long. After discussion and review around the time teachers have, how busy they are, their planning processes, etc., etc. Just considering how they can watch these games, the information that they get, how to organize it, and then go and execute it with the kids in their session. So a lot of variety to it. There's no set curriculum. There's no set weeks of doing it. It's just choice that teachers have. If they like certain games, they continue to play it. A lot of the games are all play based. Lots of games, physical literacy, challenges, working in individuals, small groups, or teams, and just making it fun, easy, and accessible to play. Again, regardless of the space you have, the time you have, and again, the clubs will help provide equipment. There is also opportunities for the schools and the clubs to collaborate a little bit further, in terms of kids having opportunity to go into the local clubs to see what they do in terms of their programming. So they have access to the school program at school, where we try and build that love of the game if they've never played it, and also understanding that some children may never have played a team sport as well. And then through that, the players obviously can go into the club, look at what the club doing, and hopefully join a soccer program with it. So, but first and foremost, just giving resources and access to all children across the country to this program, and equipment to the schools.
So, would you say this program is geared more as an in-school activity, as one of their phys ed sessions, or is it an after-school program where whoever is interested to participate to learn about soccer can do so after school, or it could be both. I was just curious.
Yeah, good question. Both we hope.
Okay.
Certainly in school, a consideration with the sessions for people that see it is we understand that there's a school gym, there's 20, 25, 30 children in a class that a teacher has to accommodate and facilitate. Um, Obviously, we want it play based, so children are learning through play, through games. And just giving them little hints and tips to do it. If the school choose to do this after school as well and build in a bit of a after school soccer program, fantastic. Hopefully that's the ripple effect of it, where the kids are asking and begging to play more soccer after school. However, just at this starting point again is just to break down the barriers, and just give kids a bit of a structure in terms of their phys ed time, and introducing soccer into their school.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I do believe would be a good way to even change things around in terms of the type of things. Like I don't know the curriculum by heart when it comes to physical education in the schools to know exactly what it is they're supposed to be learning throughout the year, but even if they could give a few of the classes just for the kids to touch the ball and learn about the sport, especially those who might not aspire to play with their local club or have a envision playing as a professional soccer player, but any exposure is good, so they get to try it out in their school during school hours. So I think it's a great idea. So congratulations. And I noticed it's not everywhere in Canada as of yet. You just mentioned it was at the pilot stage, but I'm looking forward to see it implemented everywhere, and especially, well, I'm from Montreal, so when it could come in Quebec, that would be great. Yeah.
The whole program has been audited by PHE Canada. So
Hmm.
there's been experts in terms of child learning, child development, physical literacy, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been audited by experts by PHE Canada. There's also a teacher training module that they can work through. So on our website and the app, there's an actual teacher coaching module that they can work through that gives them again hints and tips around um, ideas and things to do in a session, a bit around small-sided games, skill development, how to run the games, et cetera, et cetera. So again, working closely with PHE Canada around um, the education that teachers have, and looking at the learning process of that, and then obviously looking at the games we've designed, the videos. We've worked really closely with them to ensure that the learning piece for both children and the teachers are audited, are approved by our obviously national body for physical education in this country. So it's been a long process. It's been a deep process. There's been many changes along the way. However, it officially being launched and now in schools, and some of the feedback, and even some of my colleagues that have handed equipment over to schools, how thankful they are to do this.
Yeah.
It took a long time to film the sessions, which I was lucky to do it with two outstanding grassroots coaches that work in this space, two females, Kira Barton and Holly Babbitt. So between us three, we ran through 60 sessions in a week, and yeah, through that process, hopefully the kids are going to love it, love soccer, give them the tools they need in terms of again physical literacy, problems to solve, and hopefully make some good little soccer players in Canada.
Yeah,
That's also the
absolutely.
goal as well. So
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good. So now, one thing I wanted to discuss with you, given your experience as a grassroots manager, I wanted to share some of the challenges I've had as a coach for my own children from U4 to U12 age range, and other coaches that are friends of mine. We all could say we're like the soccer dads. Wanted to pick your brain on some things that we always have a few debates on. So I know sometimes in life there's not one way to do things. There's not one right answer, but I figured let me ask Wayne and see what he thinks of this. So,
I'll try my best.
yes, yeah. So, first thing that we debate is about equal playing time. I believe children under 12 years old should always get equal playing time because if they don't play, I don't see them developing their skills, except maybe if they're really not listening and, they're not paying attention and whatever, as a quote unquote, little punishment. If they need to sit on the bench because they really did something that's not in the values of the team, you could sit them down and say, look, you're not going to play because of whatever reason. But if that's not an issue discipline wise, I believe they should have equal playing time. Whereas there are some other coaches who say playing time should be on merit. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, every kid should play equal time. Every kid needs opportunity. If we want kids to develop, they have to show us that they're developing, and to do that, they need to play soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in punishment of children. We really have to understand why certain things are happening. Example being, they're not listening to you. Is that because uh, the coach is a little boring? Is it because the traffic going past is loud and they can't hear you? Is it because mum and dad are shouting at them on the sideline? Is it because there's a plane going over and they're looking at it? So we have to be
Yeah.
very, very mindful of the discipline things. But again, kids kids come to soccer to play soccer, and let's make sure again that they're guaranteed a game. Let's guarantee them as much of an opportunity to play as we can, and make the experience fun. That's the most important thing. But yeah, a fair equal time, absolutely, absolutely. I play co-ed soccer now, and you try and have that mindset too, that everyone's there just to play and it's equal. But yeah, every kid should play exactly the same. It's grassroots. They're young children. We never know what's going to happen. The game is unpredictable. But just let the kids experiment and explore. They live in a magical world at the minute. What they see, what they understand, what they believe can be the other end of the spectrum to us as adults. But absolutely, just letting kids just have a go and just play football as much as you can.
Yeah, I agree. Second thing we debate is the position of the player. I believe kids at that age should play multiple positions because they should explore what it is when you're attacking, when you're defending, when you're playing on the left side of the field, the right side of the field. But I do have some friends who do coach at Grassroots who will designate a player. You're a defender and you're only playing as a defender. So I want to know your thoughts on uh, playing multiple positions versus being specialized at such a young age.
I think if you're a coach, certainly at the grassroots ages, and grassroots, we're talking sort of U13 down at the minute.
Yes.
Just to make that clear, because 9v9 and below is classed as small-sided soccer. So I'm a big believer, if you pass players on to the next coach, whether that is the transition into 11v11 football, they should have two things as best you can. And one is technical, so be just as technical as you can. And through that, obviously, different positions is key. How the ball comes into you, the direction, how you receive it, the way you face, the space you have, and being adaptable. Like, can you play in different positions? Can you play in different systems as you get older? Can you play in different environments? Do you have those skill sets? So I'm a big believer in being technical and being adaptable. And through that becomes experience. And with experience, you need opportunity. So I think sometimes grassroots coaches get caught up in being confused. And what I mean by that is, in a game situation, a player comes off, they might be playing in defense and then they go back on in midfield, and they go off and then they go striker, and then they go off and they go back in midfield. So the game and the perception that it gives you from different positions. We're flooding the child's brain, which is good. However, repetition's also key. So maybe a game or two in defense, then a game or two in midfield, and a game or two in striker. But we have no idea what position the kids are going to play when they're 16 years old. But giving them the opportunity, the experiences that different positions can give them is a must, is so valuable. And again, equipping them with as many tools as you like. So some children, and I just use myself an example, I used to love setting people up to score goals, like whether it was a pass or a cross. That was a big buzz for me. And I
Hmm.
think looking back now, I actually enjoyed that more than scoring a goal. So, we have to understand what kids really enjoy about the game. A goalkeeper, like, kids love saving shots and diving around and all that comes with it. So, yeah, opportunity and being as technical and as adaptable that the game challenges bring you is certainly key.
Yeah, I agree with you, Wayne, because we've seen many examples of professional football players who they may be a striker today, but they started off as a defender or vice versa. They grew up playing a certain position and then they adapt to another one. So you're absolutely right about the adaptability part. I find another thing unfortunate when it comes to grassroots is there's still a bit of this mentality of winning at all costs. And if you really think about it, your U9, your U10, even if you win every game, congratulations. What did you accomplish? Like you get a medal, you get a trophy, but what are you thinking about the future of the children? So if you're always just winning at all costs, is it at the detriment of when they play later on, like you said, that are they still gonna have the passion to play for the sport if winning always comes too easy?
Mhm.
That's not a good thing either. So I think as a soccer nation, we still have to work on that to teach the coaches that yeah, I'm very competitive myself. I love to win just like anyone else. However, as a coach of young children, you shouldn't be focused solely on that. There's more to it than just winning and losing. You could learn many values of life through your experiences of winning and losing. And I also believe losing is important to learn how to deal with it and it could serve as a lesson to push you to be better for your next game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with this, and by that I mean it's the messaging. A grassroots is winning everything. No, is winning important in some small respects? Yes, because it is a game and it's a game you're trying to win. The kids know you're trying to win. The kids know the feeling of a goal going in against them or the feeling of them scoring. I think it comes down to coach behaviors. Um, how the coach acts on the sideline, the communication, the body language, the tone, etc., etc. um, no grassroots player goes on the internet and looks at league tables. It's just their brain is function that they're probably more concerned around what ice cream they're going to get at Dairy Queen an hour after than
Yeah.
the game. The filter just gets rid of it. The coach will reflect and obviously have those emotions, and rightly so. You want to be proud. You want your team and players to do well. Regardless of the age, that's just a natural human emotion. Um, However, the certain little things you can do in sessions, little relay races, or just keeping track of a score, or little challenges that kids can have that teaches them through the process, and not just every Saturday. That how do you manage the kids' emotions with winning and losing? That's the biggest thing. I used to hate losing. Like, I used
Yeah.
to, be grumpy and annoyed and all that, and I had to find ways to channel that. And I still struggle with it now, to be honest. But
Yeah.
again, it's just regulating those emotions is the key thing that's the big challenge for a coach. So, is winning important? Yes. Is it everything at grassroots soccer? No. But the way we behave as adults, coaches, and players, obviously, is the key to this. It really, really is. So
Yeah. And to that, I would also add with the parents. I've had to deal with some parents who are ultra competitive and they're telling me what to do at training sessions, where to place their son on the field. And they're the parents who are coaching on the sidelines, yelling at their kid, pass, shoot, go here, go there. So that's also a challenge for the coaches at the grassroots. And we try to tell the parents, listen, the odds of your kid gonna play for Canada in the World Cup, we don't know what the future holds, but it's not very high as of right now. We don't know. So let's try to make the kids enjoy playing and obviously work hard. That's what I try to pass on a message. I don't care if we win or lose, but I want you to give your full effort. I don't want you to go on the field and you're being lazy and or you're being selfish. You got to learn how to work in a team setting, and it's important that you understand that you're part of a team. It's not an individual sport like playing soccer, sorry, playing tennis or golf, for example.
yeah.
So any tips you would share in terms of how to manage this dynamic with the parents who they obviously want to have their team winning, but you know, we're trying to teach them, we're developing your child, want to continue playing and play for many years, not just to win the game today.
Yeah, it's I think first off, just understand why the child is there. Like, why are they at soccer?
Mm-hmm.
What do they enjoy about the sessions? Every child loves games, so the more game based approach you can have, the better. As you coach the children, maybe some little hints and tips is do it in front of the parents. So the parents are stood behind the children. You sit the children down, you get down to their level, and you talk to them. So the parents can hear um, the tone of your voice. They can hear what you're actually saying. They can see how you address, certain characteristics of children. Um, Maybe at the start of the season, run a practice with the parents as you would the children. So again, the parents can hear how you coach. They can feel what the kids are doing. They can understand the fun of what it is. Something we do on our education courses. Obviously, the coaches will participate in the sessions, and we always have them laughing and joking and giggling, and everything. And it just gives you that feeling. Well,
Yeah.
this is what you're like as an adult is the same as a child. They experience this and feel it. It's a tough one because those that are
Mm.
parents, you just want the very best for your child. You just want the very best. You want them to be successful, to have fun, to score goals, to win. That again, that's just something natural. Um, and have an open dialogue with parents. They're part of your team. They're in your environment and culture, and whether that's a little email or a little chat with them after the session, or here's some things we worked on today you may have noticed. We're still trying to understand why the children are not passing as much, but they're egocentric. They want to get on the ball. The excitement is the ball and the goal for them, so let's just stay with that at the minute. The excitement is not passing to their teammates. The excitement is, can I score a goal? um, and again, just trying to, as best you can, just focus and get them in the lens of just what can the child currently do, what do they want to do, and then what do they need to do during their age and stage of development. So trying to get those messages across can be really key for a young coach.
Yeah, agreed, absolutely. So, Wayne, one thing we've discussed with many prior guests, it's a big topic. It's the change that went through the federation when it comes to the licensing program. So now each club has to apply for a certain license, and then there's a certain expectation of how they do the training. So with the station-based training, one thing that we did like is that it gives the opportunity for all the children, regardless of their level, to have access to the same type of training. Whereas in the past, you would have the group one kids get the best coaches, the best training. The kids that were in division two or three, it wouldn't do the exact same thing. So I love the democracy of it. that everyone gets to learn regardless of their level. But the challenge we've been having and the many feedbacks I've been receiving by other coaches is how you translate that on the field and their performance on the pitch. We find that that's where there's might be something that there's lacking or a gap that needs to be filled because as you know, it's a team sport. The field is pretty big in comparison to doing your station based training where you divide the field in four. So I wanted to know your thoughts on how you saw this station based training and is there anything that we can do to help translate that on the field?
Yeah, it's a really good question and something we discuss and debate a lot on the children's license. And one of my colleagues, who's another grassroots expert, Holly Babbitt, who lives in Ontario, we talk about this all the time about um, station rotation provides lots of great things for the children, variety being one thing,
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to work with new coaches. There could be a layer, you can layer your session in from a physical literacy station to a dribbling station to a passing station to a game. Um, However, with that, I think maybe it's a thought process of that's the way to do it and that's the only way to do it, but it isn't. There isn't
Mm-hmm.
a way and there isn't the only way. So if that's a model that clubs accommodate because of certain factors, because of coaching resources, because of facility space, etc., then great. Kids need variety. We know that. I
Mm-hmm.
think the key, first off, with the station rotation stuff is have it aligned. So if we are having stations, can you have 4 game stations? So there's a 2 goal game, a 4 goal game, maybe a game where they have to dribble a ball through gates, and then maybe a game where they have to hit targets. So if we're looking at dribbling for tonight's session, or there's 4 different games, still encourage dribbling, but there's just different challenges and problems to solve for the kids rather than it being physical literacy, dribbling, passing, and there has to be an element where it links to the game of soccer. Clubs could also have an approach where they do station rotation one week, a small sided games the next week. Maybe a group stays with a coach for 30 minutes and then works with another coach for 30 minutes. So the variety in their modeling is there, it's open, it's maybe encouraged. And it's again, like, first off, what do the children enjoy? I think we come away from that is this is the training methodology of grassroots. We must do this, but um, what do the children actually like? Like, what are they getting from it? Maybe they love playing a small sided game with you. Maybe they just love that. And then we're saying, okay, well, you can have 15 minutes there, and then we're going to do 15 minutes something new. And again, what we know is repetition is key for learning. And we got to ensure that that repetition is there as much as possible. And we just tweak and change the challenges within the design activities or games that the children get. I think that's the key. So spoon feeding continuously, obviously, just as the saying goes, just teaches you the shape of the spoon. It doesn't really give you more than that. So the futsal element, again, like station
Yeah.
rotation one week, the next week go and play futsal, and the next week play small sided games, expose kids to all these things. But for me, ultimately, playing games and playing soccer as much as you can is key, and trying to think as a coach of how what we're doing and why we're doing that links to transferable skills that they can obviously take with them through the years to next season, to
Right.
when they play in the national team or when they're playing co-ed soccer at 42. We've got to start this at a very young age.
Yeah, I agree with you. So just a few last minute rapid fire questions before I let you go.
Okay.
Who's your favorite club team?
Aston Villa.
Aston. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
very well at the minute. So
Yeah, let's hope they keep it up.
yeah.
your favorite stadium where you've watched a game live.
The new camp in Barcelona.
Okay. Is there a stadium you haven't been to that you would love to go watch a game?
Yes, the Azteca in Mexico.
Oh, wow. Interesting. And what are your predictions in terms of Canada in the World Cup in 2026? You think we can get out of the groups? I know we don't know who they're playing and all that. It's still very early, but where do you see the trend going? It looks positive for now. What?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think the performances at the past World Cup, the qualification, again, the experiences that our top level players are getting now in Europe, the leagues they're playing in. Jesse's a fantastic coach. The home support that people are going to get, I'd highly fancy Canada to get out of the group for sure, for sure. I think there's opportunity for them to beat anybody now, to be honest. We've seen it like Croatia, Argentina. Yeah, I think the level of the national teams, both men and women now, is
Hmm.
very, very, very high. And I think a lot of countries will be nervous to play Canada.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's nice to see them gaining their confidence. Whereas in the past, we would play one of these top clubs, and we're like, "Are we gonna let in three, four, or five goals?" Now we go into a game and we're fearless, and it's makes it a lot fun to watch too. It's no more the result is predictable like it used to be in the past. So
Yeah.
let's hope they do well. So anyway, Wayne, thank you so much for your time, your great insights. Best of luck with this new schools in sorry soccer in schools program. Looking forward to seeing it implemented nationwide. I think it's great to have as many kids as possible play the game, and also good luck with your not your part of the national team, right? For the futsal
Yes.
program. Yeah, so good luck with that as well. And just gonna play an outro video and just stay in the background. I'll say bye to you offline. Thanks again, and guys, subscribe to the channel, share the content. Let's grow the local soccer show and share our passion for amateur soccer with everyone. Thank you.